we're back. This is UFC 40. You heard that correctly. UFC 40. The card collabs have been happening for a while, man, and we are slowly stacking up those numbers. Thanks for coming on the channel, Damian.
Yeah, man. It's sort of a little bit weird when you put it like that. 40 sounds like a lot, and that's because it is. We've been at this for a while now, well over, we'll be clicking over the close to 2 years at this point. So it's always fun to get together, and that's why we've lasted so long. Because regardless of how the people like it, Zach and I like to sit here and talk anyway. So you're all
Oh,
just
yeah.
lucky we press record at the same time.
Yep, sitting talking about cards. Today we got some fun stuff to talk about, man. We're going to talk about, we got some what's news topics. We're talking about products. We're going to talk about some underrated champs in our opinion. We're going to talk about pay-per-view buys and UFC 322. We might talk some matchups today. We're talking all the fun stuff, man. And first up, we have what's news. Damian, I sent you this product before it got released, and I was like, dude, this has your name all over it. The Combat Anthology. I opened the box yesterday. The video's up. We got UFC fighters. We got PFL fighters. We got WWE, which I know you're a fan of, and we got boxing, dude. So I just wanted to like macro view. What do you think about a product like this that combines like multiple different things? Do you think that's good for the space? What are your thoughts?
When you sent me this, you found it. As I said, you were the one who let me know about this product. I thought it was really, really cool. And what I think, do we need this? Do we have room for this? 100% we do. And why I even say that even more is because it blends so many of like combat sports together. Of course, if you like UFC, there's a good chance you like boxing. There's a good chance you even like WWE, like myself. All those three sports myself, I'm a big fan of. So a product like this is designed to, especially if you are already collecting, like it's trying to draw you in. And what I even liked about this the most, and I suppose you can attest on too, having the border box, is the price. The price
Yeah.
is really, really like enticing. I thought for what you get out of this product, for the uniqueness of this product, like this is technically a debut product as well. For the fun price, less than $100 for this hobby box. I know they weren't the biggest packs in the world, but still, I just think it makes it such a fun product. It makes it such an exciting product for a lot of people, including myself. And even when you send it to me, those of people who have watched us long enough know that I'm never ever really like keen to buy new boxes, new products. I'm always on the secondary markets picking up singles instead. But
Because you're a smart man.
I was so close. I was so close to getting two boxes. I was just like, this is such a cool, fun product. I really wanted it. So I haven't watched your rip yet, but I'm gonna be excited to watch that as well when we get off this video.
Yeah, man. The actually you brought up the debut aspect of it, and now I'm thinking I should have got a second box just to keep long term because I've been trying to kind of do the debut product hold and see what that looks like, you know, in a year or two, in 5 years. Are you going to be able to flip those for some profit? And this has gained a decent amount of steam. I see a lot of people are excited about this. You're completely right. The price tag is spot on. And I really hope we get a UFC card rip from Topps that's potentially around this price tag also, because it makes it really approachable for people to open these up and potentially hit some cool cards. All right, cool cards. What do we got? We got this Kaboom, and they have Kabooms in here. And I'm curious to kind of pick your brain on the Kabooms in here. How is that going to affect the Panini Kabooms? That is kind of confusing. I mean, we have like UFC licensed Kabooms. Now we have like, I guess, PFL licensed Kabooms. We have John Jones in these, who's unlicensed. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But I do think this Usman would be a sick card to have in the PC. And if he ever gets, comes into the UFC and has success, and it has a crossover, this card is going to be big, man. So what are your thoughts on one, just Kaboom having like multiple iterations, and this card in particular?
I love it. I do. I really love it. I love and this is part of reason why I want it. It's giving the people what they wanted in terms of, some people who may already have that Panini nostalgia that's only been gone a year and a half now, but to put in cards like this, especially the big Panini brand cards with Kabooms, I think this makes it even more exciting. And as I said, it comes back to that buy-in price. You're not looking at
Yeah.
spending, $200 a box in hopes of pulling one of these cool Kaboom cards. You can get 2 boxes for $200.
Mhm.
So you made a good point about Usman, the crossover. Does he make it over to the UFC at some point? And then what does that do for this card, being a debut Kaboom for him? Paul Hughes is another one who is
Yep.
obviously the Magomedov, Usman. They've had a couple of fights together now, and Paul Hughes is a really, really good fighter. So I'd love to see him, strong fighter out of Ireland as well. I'd love to see him over in the UFC. But I think that's what makes this even more fun is the potential, I guess, speculation, prospecting you want to
Yeah.
do. We've seen it with PFL. PFL, when they had Upper Deck, they had PMGs of some of their fighters. That stuff's really, really cool, I think. And I think these are the things, although they're technically not, these are licensed PFL cards, right? They're not licensed
Yeah.
UFC cards. We are getting some crossover with athletes. But I think as the hobby expands, as the sort of naturally people become more inquisitive about cards. They learn more about cards the longer that they're interested in them. I think some of these cards, and even if you want to talk about the 2022 PMGs from Upper Deck for PFL, even though they're such a niche card and from a niche, I guess, audience of PFL, who knows what's going to happen with PFL as a fighting
Yeah.
organization in years' time. But I think the uniqueness of those, the rarity of those, I think that's going to be collectible to a lot of people in the future. So I think that's something to be excited about. And there's nothing to dislike about this product at all.
I love it. I'm about to show you something, dude, and I want to get your thoughts. And this might be the first time you've seen this. So I'm ready for your head to explode.
I'm ready.
Look at this, dude.
Oh, yeah.
How sick is that? How sick is that, man?
RIP Hulk Hogan. But yeah, like this, the gold accents on this card, Ric Flair on there as well. Got to give a woo for
For the
that guy.
120 buy-in, man. For the 120
Yeah,
buy-in.
man.
Like that's good nuke potential.
Yeah, and this is number to 10 as well. Got to love that gold number to 10. Forget about that gold to 50. Let's get it to 10 and
Yeah.
below.
I do like
I
I
love it,
love
mate.
that.
I do love it. Very cool.
Yeah, maybe next time they come out with this again, maybe you get a box. Now we did talk about on our live, which we just got off the air, talking about the crazy shipping that you guys internationally have to deal with and the shipping prices and how much that balloons your potential buy-in for products. But this one might be worth it. 120, you have to pay 30, 40 more, dude. That's still somewhat low. Maybe we can get you with one of these next year.
Yeah.
All right, and next on What's News, I wanted to pick your brain on this, Damien. We have an epidemic on our hands in 2025 of Topps not giving us the odds sheets, man. And like it keeps happening over and over again. And I want to show you and the people how like why I'm so mad about this. Okay, so we're on the Topps website here, right? So these are all everything that's red means that it already has an odd sheet associated with it. Look at all of these 2025s all over the screen, all over the screen. And what do we see here? We see the lone one that doesn't have it, and it's Topps Midnight UFC. You know what else isn't on this list, Damien? 2025 Topps Finest is also not on this list. The only two products that don't have odds sheets associated with it are UFC cards. I don't like it, dude. I don't like it one bit. Why are they doing this to us, man? I hate it. What are your thoughts about the one them doing us dirty in the UFC sector, but also with Finest, we have, we talked about the case hits a couple episodes ago. We have like four,
Mhm.
I think it was four specific
Three
inserts that are,
K6.
dude, we don't know what those are, the rarity of those. How does this affect us with Finest?
Yeah. And I think this is why it's so crucial to be getting in before the product releases. Obviously, you got your box sitting there now, and they've done this before. Midnight. How long? Midnight's been out for what, 4 months now or something?
Dude, it's
It's like, I don't
crazy.
know. It's like, I don't know if it just has been forgotten about. I don't know if Tops have got too much going on in terms of what they're doing, and some stuff slips under the rug. They need new employees. They need to be, employing Zach over here at Box Alarm Trading, or even we just talked about on the live as well, getting down with that out from Australia,
Yeah,
getting his consultation experience. But I don't know if it's if it's a workflow problem. I don't know. I don't think I'd hate, you're not going to think they're doing it on purpose, but I think
right.
it's just something that maybe gets forgotten about because even on that list, it looked like most of those look like 80% of all those were 2024 products anyway. It looks like there's probably a lot of 2025 product missing. But it's so important. You talked about it. There's 3 case hits, 1 SSP as well, coming in finest out now. When collectors care about that stuff, they want to know what the odds are. What is it that you're actually getting when you're opening
Right.
up these boxes? Because they're not. We just talked about it. When they're not cheap, you know. You, yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But I have hope that Topps are going to iron this stuff out as well over the time. But you never know. More
Dude.
importantly, we've got to talk about this release of Finest.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on Finest, man? Again, don't really have much out there pricing wise. We do kind of, we saw some of the images that got released early, and we talked about those, but we don't really have too much pricing wise because this is literally like day of release. But kind of spitballing, the one thing that I did want to pick your brain on pricing wise was the thoughts from the boss. And in your opinion, like, what are we talking price wise? Just spitballing here. What should those be going for? And we also have kind of two tiers. We have the older thoughts from the boss from guys like, John Jones, people that have already had them before. And then we also have the ones like Kayla Harrison, Tom Aspinall, Ilya. Those may fetch more of a premium. So what do you think we're looking at ballpark wise? And we're just speculating here, but kind of what are your thoughts?
Am I right? Thoughts for the boss, they're pretty low. Are they like 25 and below or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, they're
that?
definitely
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah. And I like that even if you are getting some of these older fighters like John Jones, etc., who you talked about, who have had previous in, a decade ago with Thoughts in the Boss from the older tops. But those are all stickers. I believe most of these, this is where you don't know. I've seen a lot of on card for these.
Yeah.
But as you said, depending on the fighter, maybe Ilya's is, for example, sticker. We don't know. Maybe a lot of these are going to be Dana on cards, fighter stickers. We're going to have to wait and see as this product releases. But I do think if we're talking across the board, if these are all on card autos, I think some of these cards, even with, previous fighters, I think these can overshadow because it adds that, I guess, providence of having Dana White had that card in
Yeah.
his
The
physical possession,
connection. Yeah.
signed it, and then the connection of obviously the fighter as well. So if we're talking on card autos, I think these deservingly probably could outshadow some of the older ones. But then you're going to have the OG guys who are probably holding on to some of these ones who, they're going to have their argument of, well, this was the initial debut, for example, thoughts from the boss for that
Right.
fighter. But yeah, as you said, we're going to be getting a lot of fighters who weren't around when they were doing the first ever Thoughts of the Boss for Dana White. So that makes it very cool. So they're going to be debut for a lot of fighters. Dana White, very prominent figure. Probably when you think of UFC, you can't not think of Dana White more so than any UFC fighter. So I think that makes it very collectible. Low serial print numbering as well, as we talked about, 25 and below is really a sweet spot in terms of getting that rarity out there as well. So I think these cards are going to be doing very well. I don't think I see any of these cards selling because they're not going to be doing, Dana White signing with Natalia Silva, for example. They're going to be all pretty prominent
Yeah,
fighters,
they're all big
popular
names.
fighters. So I think any of these cards, given that they are 25 and below, probably $500 plus cards, I would imagine,
Okay. Yeah, I
if
was think I
if
was
they're on
thinking
card,
up. I was thinking
especially
up around a
especially if they're on card.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was thinking up around a grand. And I cannot wait to see what kind of numbers we're talking when dude, the supers of these are sick. I can't wait to see
yeah,
them out there. See what kind of big sales we get from the
yeah.
thoughts from
They'll
the
be
boss.
they'll be 6-figure cards, I reckon.
Yeah,
Sorry,
love
not
it.
6-figure, 5 figures, 5 figures.
10,000. Yes.
10,
Never,
10 and
dude.
above. Like
You
you
never
told
know.
me, you told that super with Alex Pereira or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
it's gonna
easy
be
5-figure card.
gonna be big, man. Gonna be big and pretty exciting. And next up, Damien, I wanted to talk to you. We have 322 coming up, which we're gonna talk about that event and the pay-per-view buys later in the episode. But I wanted to talk to you specifically about your boy, your fellow Australian, Jack Della Maddalena. And I wanted to talk to you about um basically rookie radar.
Yeah.
Rookie radar, dude. What kind of pricing are we talking about with Jack Della Maddalena? And also, is he still too low? Because I did a video a while back, and I thought some of his pricing was pretty low. And let's check out some of these real quick, and then we'll talk about, is JDM going to get a bump if he beats Islam Makhachev. Huge if there, right? We're talking about one of the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time with Islam. But you would have to imagine if JDM beats him, he gets a big bump, right? So we got the 1/1 white sparkle rated rookie auto. This is such a nice card, man. You know I like the rated rookies. This is the 1/1 white sparkle super shine, and we're talking about 3,000. So this is, a 1/1, probably one of his best cards. And we're talking about 3 grand. And this was in 2024. So he's done nothing but continue to be in the spotlight, continue to win, and continue to put on good fights. We got another 1/1, same card, but the gold vinyl. That's a good argument. What would you rather have, the white sparkle or the gold vinyl? 1,400 there. We got some other 1/1s around 1,000. And that is the biggest sales that I could find for JDM, dude. So, like, does he get a bump? He has to get a bump, right? What are we going to see if he wins?
I've thought about this a lot. So I was thinking about, we all knew as soon as JDM won that belt, beat Bilal earlier into the year, we knew that this Islam fight was coming. It had been talked about for quite some time. So I actually thought about, man, is there a play here for JDM? Because he's definitely within good shot to beat Islam. And if he does, what sort of shine is he going to get? And then the only counter argument I could think of was, well, we're going to have the argument, oh, well, Islam was a smaller guy coming up, like what is, there's always going to be that argument,
Yeah.
even though Islam is a massive 150. If
Y-
you've ever seen
yes.
photos of, if you've seen that photo of Islam standing next to Bilal, Islam almost
Yeah.
dwarfs Bilal. Like Islam is a big dude, but there's going to be that argument there that, oh, well, Islam was a 155 guy taking on the bigger man at 170. It's going to be such a good fight. I'm actually really, really excited for this one. I think there's going to be some shine, definitely. How could there not be? You talked about it. Islam is carving his way. He's still got some work to do, mind you, but he is carving his way into that Mount Rushmore
Hmm.
potentially of the UFC, depending on what happens with his career over the next couple of years. But if JDM gets this win, first title defense, even though it is the technically the small man coming up to fight him, I think he's going to get a lot of love. And I think Australia, as I said, I just mentioned this as well on the live, Australia is really getting behind UFC, MMA as a whole at the moment. And I think at least here in Australia, it's really going to make him a superstar. It's going to be that Australian versus Dagestani appeal. And I think, yeah,
Yeah, we got
JDM,
Craig
what
Jones is
I,
again in the mix, like always.
yeah. And JDM just is he's almost like a cross between Volkanovski and Whitaker in terms of he's very, very laid back, just sort of obviously does himself, doesn't talk too much crap, just naturally himself, um, very friendly, very calm, and that appeals to a lot of people in MMA, at least to myself as well. So I would imagine that JDM gets this win. I think we're going to definitely see a bump because I even think at the moment, I think when we're looking at those 2024, 2023 prices, his pricing was probably pretty fair around that $1,000 mark for some of his 1/1s. So you got to remember it was only the start, March 2024, when he beat Gilbert Burns and really pushed his way up
Yeah.
into the top of that welterweight division. So when you're talking before that, he was still pretty much very much a prospect, doing well, obviously emphatic wins, getting finishes, got a very, very fun fight style, what people want to see. But I think if he beats Islam, I think we're going to get at least probably 20-25% bumps on his card pricing across the
Nice.
board,
That's healthy.
potentially more, because I think even at the moment, I think it's really going to solidify his prices because he probably is still a little bit undervalued in my opinion as well. I've obviously looking at some of his rookie autos, they only sell for a couple $100. When we're talking about parallels to 99 or whatever, I think they should be a bit higher than that at the moment, but definitely gets the win over Islam. I think they're going to pump up for sure.
Yeah, you kind of brought up an interesting thing there about like the timeline, right? And so that it made me think like when he beat Bilal, everyone knew Islam was probably next. So maybe we have a ton of his big cards that didn't get put on the market because people were holding for this moment to see what would happen. And maybe we haven't really seen some of his bigger cards even hit the market to sell. And maybe that's why we haven't seen higher sales volume because people are holding to see, maybe they're waiting for fight week or maybe they think he's going to win and then they'll sell. So that's kind of an interesting thing there as far as like timing the sell with JDM.
Yep. But we did see, we just like the rookie auto one-on-ones, like as you said, rated rookie cards. I mean, it's got to be one of his favorite ones. And there we are talking about autos as well. They're the gold vinyl. So
Yeah,
we have seen some of them.
yeah.
Obviously, we got his Black Prism, got some of his one-on-ones from Select, even the golds from Select, gold prisms, getting down there to 10 or less. We haven't. I don't know how many of those we've seen, but they're definitely, could be some bigger ones floating around. I mean, that it'd be interesting. I'd love to know this, and maybe someone in the comments can let us know. Has anyone seen the Black Prism 101
Mm.
for JDM from 2023 Prism? Because if that has not card hasn't surfaced yet, I mean, does that change how people maybe start chasing? Because 2023 Prism was the most affordable of all 3 years,
Yeah,
so maybe there's a fun little buy in there if you could be sort of chasing that card.
I love it, dude. We're talking about champs, and we're gonna segue into more champs. And I was kind of thinking with this Tom Aspinall eye poke thing, right? I was thinking of the ebbs and flows that we get from some of these champions, right? People are loved and then they're hated. And every now and then we get a champ where it's just like the buzz on them is just kind of stays low. And it made me think to myself, well, I want to ask Damian, what are your top three modern champions who you think have got no love? And then we'll talk about your favorite card of each of them, and we'll go one for one on this one. So who do you have up first?
All right, I'm going to start with the box alarm cheating answer because technically she's not a champion at the moment, but that's only because she was stripped because she's about to be fighting Valentina Shevchenko
Hey, if you're
for the
not cheating, you're
bantamweight.
not trying. So I love this cheat answer, Damien.
So, sorry, not Valentina, not for the bantamweight championship, but yeah, that is Zhang Lei. And what I really like about her is her record. Obviously, she had a bit of a start. She had a start stumble in her UFC career. She obviously got the belt, and then she come up against Rose, lost the belt, and then they had the rematch. But since then, she has been almost, well, not almost, she has been literally unstoppable. And there's not been anyone who has sort of come close to her. She also has a big backing behind her with her country of origin,
Mm-hmm.
China.
Big time.
She's very, very appealing in terms of, trying to learn English and trying to speak English when she can. Like MMA fans tend to get behind that sort of thing. She seems like a great woman, great champion. And what I like most about Zhang Wei Li is this fight that's coming up with Shevchenko at UFC 322 because Shevchenko has also hovered around there in the greatest of all time conversations of the women's MMA with Amanda Nunes, obviously. So, I mean, depending who you talk to, depending on the bias, I would give that automatically. I think you would too to Nunes. But there'd probably be some people who would give the greatest of all time to Shevchenko for the women's MMA. So if Whaley can beat her, I think this we've talked about this too. This fight's coming at exactly the right time. Both of these girls in their primes. You could argue, Shevchenko maybe 12, 18 months earlier would have been better
Right.
for her, but I still think it can't be. It's not like she's too old. It's not like she's Stipe Miocic old getting in there and
Dang,
fighting
Stipe's
Whaley.
getting
So
getting shots thrown at him at just random strays. Sorry, Stipe.
but we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
not too old yet to be considered in a prime. So that's why I think Zhang Wei Li is clearly going to be. I think she gets the job done. But as I said, that whether that happens or not, regardless, she is currently undervalued. She's on a massive win streak. She's very, very fun to watch. She's all round. She's like all rounded in MMA, and this is my favorite card of her. She heard rookies from 2020, Topps flagship and Topps knockout, as most people maybe do or do not know. But this is a 2021 Prism, and this card is that popular. The fireworks insert. I couldn't even find. I could only find this in a green parallel. I really am kicking myself. I remember probably a good year, 18 months ago, there was a gold version of this sitting up on eBay for the longest time at about $350 by it now.
Ooh,
And I
that's
looked at that
sick.
card and I think that's such a fun card. And I just never bought it. And then lo and behold, it sells. And now I believe it was up. The new owner of that card put it up for like 2 grand or something.
Yeah.
So also kudos to them for seeing an undervalued card, I was too
Mhm.
tight at the time, but that's one of those ones now I look back and I'm like, I wish I'd have bought that card because that card looks so good. And I think Zhang Weili is well undervalued.
Nice, man. It just occurred to me whenever wording this question to you, they didn't have to be current champions. Did you take this as they had to be current champions right now?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that was bad wording on my part. That occurred to me halfway through when thinking of the people of the images that you gave me. So I'm immediately going to cheat on the question with Damien, and I'm going to pick a guy that was a past champion that did not get enough love. I meant modern champions as just like people that have won a championship in the modern era.
Oh, I thought you meant modern. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So a little, but we still have some good answers coming up. So man, I chose Leon. It was wild to see kind of I guess it was wild, but it wasn't wild. It was kind of expected because he was like, people did not like him at all. He has the head kick. He rises to the top there for like, 6 months. People loved him. He was beloved. He wins again against Usman. People still like him, but not as much. He beats Colby Covington. People are starting to kind of not like him as much. And then he loses to Bilal. People hate him again. And to me, it was kind of insane to see he beat who a lot of people thought Usman was, really close to eclipsing GSP as the best welterweight of all time. Leon beats him twice, and now it's like he never was a champion. And to me, that's pretty insane. Now, the Colby Covington, that's honestly not, when you're talking about comparing legacies, right? A championship defense is awesome, but Colby Covington at that stage in his career, not necessarily a super great person. But to beat Usman twice, to get another title defense against Covington, I feel like he just doesn't get enough love for what he's been able to achieve in the sport. And this is his 2015 champions, and this is his true rookie. And I was looking up, some really cool sales. I could not find any picks of the 1 of 1, but this red of 8 with the PSA red,
That
I
red
think
stick.
looks, yeah,
Yeah.
it looks pretty sharp. So honestly,
Yeah.
obviously you want
Especially
the
with the big
1 of 1.
UFC logo.
Yeah, but there, man, it's a pretty nice card. So that was the first person that I thought was kind of an undervalued as far as legacy. I think his legacy is a little bit undervalued with the one of the peak moments, and maybe it's because I'm biased because he is, a guy that I root for. But that fifth round, 1 minute and a half to go head kick was an all-time UFC moment. And so I'm kind of surprised that people don't necessarily have as much love or respect for what Leon has done so far in his career. Who do you got at number 2 on your list?
Number 2 is going to be the man who is fighting this weekend. We just touched on him. It is JDM. I do believe, for all the reasons I mentioned before, he is a fun fight style. He gets in. He's an absolute dog in the cage. Beat uh, Gilbert Burns with a broken arm. I was at
Dude,
that fight
that's
live.
crazy.
And he's a very likable character. And the fact that how cheap his cards are, like
Yeah.
this card, you can pick this card up for a couple of $100, which is just absolutely insane. Obviously, rookie auto, and this is a nice image of him too.
Hmm.
Bit of a color match there with the tape, sticker auto, but that's what you get for your rookie autos from 2023. So yeah, he's so undervalued. The sky's the limit for where this guy could be. Obviously, there's a lot of fun matchups at welterweight. I almost want to get this Islam fight out of the way. I hope he beats Islam because there's a lot of, we just talked about it too on the live. You want to talk about a fight with Edwards. You want to talk about a fight with Prates. You want to talk about a fight with Gary
Yeah.
Shavkat.
Yeah,
There's a
some good
lot of fun
guys.
fights at welterweight, man. So I want to see a lot of action. And JDM, if he's holding the belt there at the top, is going to be at the top. Is going to be the highlight of all that action. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how JDM's career unfolds, and I think he's criminally undervalued at the moment.
I love it, man. I know you were tied into only champs that are current right now because of the wording of the question and me not being clear enough with that. But honestly, I think both all of the people you picked really are pretty undervalued, especially the two that, and you're going to talk about one in a second, so I don't want to spoil it. But definitely a good list whenever you're constrained to just the champions of the current time. My other person was Israel Adesanya. And this is kind of an interesting one in my opinion. So let me kind of elaborate a little bit. It's not necessarily because he does have a lot of love and there's a lot of fans of his and there's a lot of fans in his card market too, right? But this is more this is more on his actual legacy and what he was able to achieve in the UFC. I think people don't understand the insane run that Israel Adesanya had. I mean, was, dude, he was pretty close to being like neck and neck and making an argument to be said that he had as good or better of a run than Anderson Silva, who is like, his accolades are so insane. Now I don't think he got there, but there was like, if he would have got 2 or 3 more fights, man, you might have been able to make a compelling argument. So it's more so, this is more so a thought of that. I don't think people respected his run and what he was able to do. When we look at him knocking out Alex Pereira right now, how insane is it that Israel Adesanya stood toe to toe and put his lights out, dude? That was such a crazy moment. And he almost did it twice in both of the fights that they had within the UFC.
Mm.
And I just don't think people, he was that dude for so long, man. I don't think people necessarily give him as much love as they should for his legacy. I chose this card, Damian, and you're getting a sneak peek because this is my card, dude, and I'm gonna be making a video about this card and why I love it so much. But to just kind of keep it short, this is one of his first autos. This is also an event specific relic, an event matte relic from UFC 236, which is the fight with him and Kelvin Gastelum, which is and has been inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for fights. I want to say there's only a handful of fights in there. There's less than 15, and this was by far one of my favorite moments with Izzy and just in the UFC. Whenever you always get these questions online, like what's one fight you would recommend to somebody? Like, this is the fight that I recommend to people that are not super into the sport. I said, go watch this fight. It's absolutely bananas. So that's why I chose this 2020 Topps UFC KO Jumbo Matte Relic.
Beautiful card, and congratulations on picking that one. I didn't know. Obviously, I thought you pulled that one off the wish list, but yeah, very very cool card. And I do believe that does deserve his first auto badge. Imagine that had a first auto, because I'm pretty sure Knockout was the first release from 2020,
Yeah.
and that would make that first auto. So, and
Yep.
as you said, the
First auto.
specific relic of that as well.
There is
Very very
four
very very
first
cool.
autos. There's 4 autos that came out of
Yeah,
knockout. So
that's
that
first
is,
print. Oh yeah, but yeah,
so it's kind of an
yeah, I know what you're saying.
interesting conundrum there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
who you got at
but yeah,
number?
obviously got the number three, and maybe the most surprising one to most people, but some people who read between the lines, sometimes have heard me talk about this fighter before, and it is the king of the flyweight division, and that is Alexander Pantoja. And this card, did you know, Zach, Pantoja's first autos was 2024? Not finest. I do believe he had
Wow,
knockout. I don't know if he had chrome, but yeah, 2020.
that's
He's had
crazy.
since 2020. And from what I could find, his first autos went all the way to 2024. And this is my favorite of those orders from 2024. The finest red. Forget that it's in a PSA holder. That's not really relevant, but I just love
Hey, the red on red looks
the
good, man.
the red on there does look good. And as I said, on card auto, Alexander Pantoja hasn't lost since 2020. Been fighting at the top of the flyweight division, and it's not even like a lot of the time people's arguments are, oh, flyweight's pretty shallow. To be fair, he's had a good variety of opponents, and
Yep.
especially since winning the belt, there's been no rematches in the since obtaining the belt. He's relatively active too. This will be his second fight in 2025. He's fought twice in 2024. I believe he fought twice in 2023 as well, which is good for most UFC champions. Most UFC champions can be lucky to fight in twice in a calendar year. Not only that, he's just another guy who just sort of throws caution to the wind,
He's
fights with his
very
heart on his
aggressive.
sleeve, puts very, very good performances on. He can fight, you know, striking. He can fight He can fight on the mat as well. There's no English there. I think really hurt. If he could sort of bring his personality out a bit, I think that would help in terms of collectability and how fans get behind him. But overall, if you want to talk about this, if you're a fight fan, you have to appreciate this man's fight style. You have to appreciate his skills, and I think his cards are criminally underrated. And that's my favorite of those.
Nice. I love it. He's actually a guy that I was really close to putting him on my list as well. I mean, he has really put a stamp on that flyweight division. And like you were saying, the people that he's beaten are really high quality opponents. It's not like he's had an easy run. Like, he's faced people in their prime, and he's finished a lot of them too and put on some really, really good performances, man. This next guy, Damian, this guy might be the most hated guy in UFC history. He's got to be like one of the most unliked people in UFC history. And we were talking about Aljamain Sterling. And I think I put him on this list one just because of how like polarizing he is and like nobody likes him. But I think the reason I put him on this list, Damian, was the reason why nobody likes him. And I think the main linchpin and the main domino to fall that started all of this was him getting illegally kneed. And we have the situation kind of now with Aspinall, and we're seeing a very similar thing. Aljo gets rocked by a knee. I don't care what anybody says. If I need you in the head like that, you would be absolutely rocked, man. And so for people to kind of use that as the reason to hate him, he then comes back and he beats Piotr Jan, decisively beats him, and then goes on a run where I think he defended twice after that. So he basically has 3 title defenses, and people act like he was never even a champion. And maybe you can chime in on maybe there's other reasons why people don't like Aljo outside of his performances in the octagon. But I just kind of think I think the reasoning of why he's disliked, I don't necessarily understand. This is his first on-card auto, and I believe this is 2023 Immaculate, or is this 2022? My mouse isn't
It's
working
like
on my notes.
2023.
Yeah, so I think this is 2023 or 2022 Immaculate. This is the Immaculate Celebrations, his first on-card auto. And what's kind of interesting about this one is there's no parallels. It's just 99 and below. So it's just 99 made, which I always think that's pretty cool. It's somewhat limited supply. There wasn't a ton of different parallels. And I really like this image. And this is after, I believe, the time that he beat Piotr Jan after the illegal knee. So kind of a cool image there as well.
Yeah, that is a good photo, and you've spoke about that before, even with the Hoist Gracie auto that you have in your collection. When Immaculate done that with 49 or below or 99 or below,
Mhm.
always was um, a cool little collectible factor. But with the Aljo thing, I think, yeah, inside the cage, I don't think there's like he does have a more grappling style, which people want to boo all the time, and that's just MMA fans in general. But I think, as you just said, it did start with that illegal knee win against Pierre Diane, who was looking pretty unbeatable up until that fight, and even then was beating the brakes off Aljo until that knee happened. But I think it's more how he carries himself outside of the octagon that
Okay.
rubs people the wrong way, including myself. It's more his own commentary. It's more his own views. As I said, he comes across as a pretty strong hypocrite sometimes, but I like, not to say he seems like a great dude. He's obviously a smart guy as well. He's got his life sorted outside of the cage from what I've understood with real estate and everything. So he seems like a well-spoken guy, smart man, obviously good fighter as well. As I said, has a few title defenses there. But when you want to wonder about him not being so likable, I think you got to take into the factor of uh, things that he's said in the past, and like the way that he's acted more outside of the cage is
Yeah.
sort of what's rubbed people the wrong way.
And that's fair. I might have some blind spots on that. I tend to follow fighters a little bit outside of the cage, but I definitely don't like have my ear to the ground listening to everything that they say. I'm not kind of one of those people. Whenever things pop up that are big, I'll usually see it, but I definitely could be missing some undertones of, why he's so disliked, because there does seem to be like a huge
Yeah, he's
online
like
following.
he comes across sometimes because I was paying attention to him, obviously knowing when he was champ and O'Malley was coming through the ranks. Obviously, so I was sort of listening to the Hawani interviews and just his commentary instead. He does have his own podcast and things like that, but he just comes across as a salty crybaby a lot of the time, which, as I said, yeah, yeah,
All right, man.
that'll rub a lot of people the wrong
Yeah.
way to
No,
begin with.
and you would know better than anybody having your ears to the streets and really listening because of that O'Malley matchup. All right, man. Next up we got agree or disagree.
Agree or disagree?
That is the question.
And I'm very interested to hear your take on this because I know for a while you were kind of experimenting with this subject and kind of trying to figure out what the best path was forward. And the statement this week on Agree or Disagree, Damien, is you should not be listing your cards up for auction. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm going to make this short in my answer because I've got a little add-on here of something that popped into my mind when reading this statement. So, no surprise, you should not auction your UFC cards. I can tell it from experience. The only time I've made, and in saying that too, like anytime I've had a UFC card sell over $150 mark, the card didn't get paid for in the auction anyway. I end up having to relist it. Now, granted, that fighter didn't win the big event, and I was normally, doing this around the time of relevancy. I would hate to think of anyone who's done a UFC card auction with the fighter not in the spotlight at the moment leading into a big pay-per-view event. I think that would be a terrible idea. But even the times I have done it, I have lined it up with a big pay-per-view event for that fighter, main eventing the pay-per-view. And the few times that I've done, I think I've done it 3 times now, I have jinxed the fighter and they have lost every time.
Yeah.
But even when the card starts getting a little bit of traction and it ends up, obviously not getting too many bids after a fighter's lost, the card doesn't get paid for anyway.
Yeah.
So it was basically
happen.
pointless. And that can happen in our sport. Like we're talking about, as we talked about this before, we're talking about people punching each other in the face for a sport.
Yeah.
Like anything can happen. You can't really rely on a good result in UFC because, one punch changes the trajectory of a fight. So I completely do not think you should be ever auctioning your UFC cards. And I'm going to take this even further. This is what I
Okay.
wanted to get at as well as a side note. I don't think if you have any sort of high value rare card, whether it be graded, raw, whatever, from any year of UFC, I don't think you should be selling it at all. I don't think you should be selling it as a buy it now. I think all these cards, I've even started doing this. I've got a box over here in my wardrobe. I'm saving up cards for 10, 15 years. I'm putting them away. I'm forgetting about them because I don't think there's actually the true value of UFC cards is not there at the moment, regardless of what card you have from what era. I think people are most better off to not even have them. I kind of understand now why people put ridiculous amounts on
Yeah.
eBay just to have it sit there, whether it gives your eBay store traction because you've got such high value, whatever it is, okay, if that's what you're doing. But I don't think the true value of UFC cards is seen or has been seen yet to date in 2025. I think any UFC card, if it's what you would call as collectible, if it's what you think is a high value card, I don't think it's worth even listing for the next probably 5-ish years and wait and see where it's at and then potentially look at selling it. Whether you want to do auction then, when you want to do buy it now. But I think regardless, if you're selling UFC cards at the moment, you want to be doing in the lower mid end. That could include graded as well. If you've got some PSA 10s, maybe some PSA 9s, or some mid cards that are maybe like $100, $200 at value, and you can make a profit off those. Sell them now. Don't auction them. Put them as buy it nows. Wait to see when that one sells. But my honest take is if you've got a card that's worth over $200 to you or as a comp value, put it away. Because as I did explain in one of my recent videos, the numbers aren't there for UFC at the moment anyway. The demand is not there for that amount of value for UFC cards. And even if it was, I think you're better off waiting. So that's my take.
We got big things coming in 2026. A lot of people are going to start to see the sport that have not seen the sport. And as we all know, we're fans of how crazy this is. We have electric finishes. We have, blood and guts matchups. Just the amount of emotion that this sport can draw out of you when the fights are great is really unreal, man. And a lot of people are going to finally get to see that with this new Paramount deal. So I love that you touched on that, Damian. I'll keep it short because you really hit almost all the points I was going to talk about. In order for auctions to really be effective and to have power, we need multiple people bidding on these items. And like you said, I just don't think the UFC world is quite big enough for, these bidding wars to be happening on these cards. And they should be happening on a lot of these cards. And whenever I do comps on cards, whether it's like research for potential buys in the future, or whether it's comping cards for these, the value calculator in the videos, a lot of the auctions that I see are way below the buy it nows, and it's obvious because sometimes there's not enough eyes for these cards. So definitely be careful whenever it comes to auctioning your cards. You have all the power whenever you get to control the price with buy it nows. Just do that, man. It's going to be a lot safer in my opinion. And Damian brought up the great point of people also not paying. That's happened to me. It's probably happened to everyone with auctions. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a good indication would be we have this strange thing in UFC, right? It's so opposite from other sports. When we have fighters who have multiple title defenses, they got the belt, we get a pump, and then they defend the belt 2 or 3 times. their prices go down until the time that those prices increase instead of decrease. I think that's when it's probably a good indication of, all right, well, maybe it's the tide has swung and it's time to sort of start looking at selling some of the bigger cards. But yeah, until then, as you said, Paramount's coming in 2026. That's going to do massive for the viewership, and that will trickle into the collectability as well eventually. And then we can reassess, but definitely at the moment, no auctions.
All right, next up, we got pay-per-view buys.
For pay-per-view buys.
buys.
Damian, we have probably the biggest card we're going to get all year. I'm going to say it's the biggest card since UFC 300. It is stacked all over the place, man. We got UFC 322. What do you have on the list for pay-per-view buys 322?
So another one from the 2022 Panini Instant rated rookie set. And I'm telling you, I bought this set for, I think it was $30. It was obviously Panini Instant print on demand order. It was numbered, I think they did 464 sets or something. So technically all these cards are numbered to 462. I paid quite a bit in shipping. We talked about shipping as well for international. I might have paid like $30 shipping. So I was all in for this set for, let's say, $65, $70. But the rated rookie class, the rookie class of 2022 is absolutely electric. I've only got a couple of these left because a lot of these I've sold. I've actually I've done pretty well out of this set, given, as I said, the rookies, how they've all panned out over the past few years with championships and not. But Tracy Cortez, not in a championship fight, but she is going to be fighting the Australian Erin Blanchfield on the prelims. This will be a fun fight. Both ladies in similar positions. I think only that these women are only a few fights. They've got a few fights to get before they get into the title picture, but they are two bigger names when it comes to the women's strawweight division. So Tracy Cortez, I have this rated rookie up. Well, I will be putting it up. It's not up yet, but it will be up in the next week, in the next few days. And hopefully it gets to sell, but we'll see. There's a few of these out at the moment. Obviously, Tracy Cortez, not the biggest, most demand fighter, but as I said, fighting on the prelims. We'll see what happens. What do you got?
I love it, man. Dude, you mentioned something that I thought of. Whenever you're able to get a product and you know exactly what is in there, like you knew, oh, I'm getting all of these different rookies in this. That is such a good buy. I had similar success with the premium box set where you get the entire 2023 Prism set, every single card in an of 99 or below or of 99 parallel. It's just a really good value. So I'm hyped that you're continuing to sell these rated rookies because you get a guaranteed rookie for, $60. All that 2022 set was so stacked. Me, man, I had the Jack Della Maddalena from 2024 Topps UFC. I pulled this card. It's an of 25 on card auto JDM. It's a blue. This picture actually, honestly, is not very great. The shine on it is much better. It almost looks like too dark in this photo. And maybe that's why it hasn't sold, Damian, because I've been trying to sell this for a minute. I really have enjoyed JDM's championship run. I really enjoy his fights, but I just don't necessarily want this card in my collection. I think I do want a big JDM card eventually, but I want to see him win a couple more fights before I buy into that. And we'll see. I actually lowered the price on this. It was up for $199 for the longest. I dropped it to $149.99. I think if he beats Islam, that's a steal of a card. So I don't think I'm going to be dropping it any below that. And if it doesn't sell, I may just keep this one because I don't want to just give this away. It is a really nice card.
Yeah, no, definitely too. And we've spoke about this before. Like when you think about the buy-in price of royalty compared to what you were getting, this is a lower. This is the 25 on card auto. I think that's definitely deserves a sell, especially if we're talking about a win.
And then I actually do have another card, which I'll talk about quickly. I have Sapia Islam Makhachev, rookie refractor, his true rookie card. I want a big Islam card in my collection, but I don't. This is not the card. So I do want to try and liquidate this in order to get more funds to eventually get a bigger and different Islam Makhachev card. I'm with you. I'm like you. I have not listed this card yet, but I am pretty sure I am going to list it, put it up as a buy it now price before fight week. Haven't decided what price that is, but it's probably going to be, I would think, 30 to 60, depending on what the comps are. It'll probably be on the lower end, probably in that range.
Do we know what rank of SP the Sepias were in 2019?
I believe the Superior Refractors were a Blaster exclusive parallel. So
Yeah,
not
nice.
so not super sought after, but also, a decent little hit for a rookie.
Have you haven't thought about grading that card?
I actually did have it graded in an 8, and I did not like the result of that, and so I cracked it. I do think it's
Okay.
got to be at least a 9, man. On the secondary market, we know that PSA 8s just go for nothing. So kind of an interesting
I don't.
ethical question there. Like, is that weird? Like, I don't agree with the 8, and that's why, I don't feel bad selling this raw because I do
You
think it
could
could
always
easily get a
resend it.
9. Yeah,
If you resend it and get a 9, I say even if you send it to the SGC, for example, too. But I think that card, because there is not many Islam rookie cards that aren't base that you can get. Like his, if people have looked into the rookie market of Islam, there is really not that many that ever pop up. And especially, as I said,
yeah.
talking about some of these shorter prints. So I agree. If you can get a 9 in that card, man, that's I think there's good return to be had on that because for whatever reason, Islam rookie cards don't really exist too much outside of the base. Like a graded base in the PSA 10 or 9 is well over $100, I'm pretty sure. So
It's because
might
everybody's
be
holding them,
something worth
dude.
thinking about.
I think everybody, we
Mm.
have a lot of Islam fans, a lot of Islam collectors, and I think people that are fans of his and collecting him, they just like hold it at the chest, which is cool because again, we have that supply and demand. Like the supply is very low on some of these cards, so in theory, it should kind of push up the demand whenever those go to sell.
Yep.
All right, Damien, it's already been 50 minutes, man. Thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate you coming on the channel. Go follow Damien at Main Event Cards if you haven't. We have collabs over there. We do lives over there. He is the man. And thank you again for coming on.
I appreciate it, Zach. Love getting together for these. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.